Hey friends, the 23rd Psalm is probably one of the most well-known Bible passages, certainly one of the most well-known Psalms. And in that Psalm, David rejoices that the Lord is his shepherd. It starts off and it says, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. And you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever." It's important to remember that even in the new covenant, that God is always with us. He is the great shepherd. And what does the shepherd do for the sheep? Well, the shepherd leads the sheep and cares for the sheep. And he says, because I have this wonderful good shepherd, I shall not want. It means that I'll lack for nothing. And isn't that exactly what Jesus has done for us? That he has given us his abundant and beautiful provision, that in him we have everything we will ever need. The good shepherd leads the sheep to the still waters where they can drink, and has them to lay down and rest in safety in the green pastures. He is the one who leads us. He's the promise of our provision. And the beauty of it is that when we're following the shepherd, when we're living in a responsive relationship to the indwelling life of God, he will always lead us in the paths of righteousness. He will always lead us in a way that is in perfect harmony with the new nature that he has given us. And I think about verse number 4, and he says, "And even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." You see, God doesn't promise us a life with no valleys and no evil. You look around in the world and it's easy to become overwhelmed by the evil that we see. And if you listen to news and media, I think they really are working to generate a lot of fear. But the Christian isn't motivated or moved by fear, even when surrounded by evil, even in the dark and difficult times, even in the valleys of life. Why? Because he's always with us. We don't go through any valleys on our own. And so we should decide right now that we will fear no evil, because he's with us. His rod, his staff, they're there. He's our protection. And the enemy might intend ill will towards us, but he is the one who has promised to never leave us, never forsake us, that we will triumph even over our enemies. David said, he's anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. And so you see, when we remember who we are and whose we are and all that we have in him, when we realize that in him we have everything we will ever need, we have his very presence, that we have been anointed, he's put his Spirit upon us, that really we do live a life of overflowing blessings. That's what it meant for my cup overflows, abundance. And he says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all of the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Well, David had this beautiful promise, but listen, you have something even more precious. You live in him, and he lives in you. You are his temple, and he will never go away. So don't be overwhelmed or distracted by the valleys of life. They will come. And when you find yourself walking in those valleys, the valley of the shadow of death, and evil seems everywhere, fear not. Why? Because he's with you. I always say to people, when you find yourself walking through the valley of the shadow of death, well, man, just keep walking because God isn't going to leave you there. He doesn't promise you a life without trial and tribulation. He doesn't promise you to live in a fallen world absent of evil. It's there. But we choose to fear not, for he is with us. His rod, his staff, his protection, his provision. He is all we will ever need. And that's good news. And I hope you'll hold on to that and just keep walking as he leads you, because he's the good shepherd and he will lead you to the place of great delight. I love you. I hope this encourages you. And if it does, pass it on to someone who might be blessed by it. Have a great day.